Hello, everybody, and welcome to next episode of the ACSS news broadcast on sanctions against Russia. Again, we will guide you through what's happening in the world, tell you what happened in the world of sanctions against Russia, and why it matters for your business. And we're also trying to connect the dots between the different things that happen between the different regions. My name is Saskia Rietbroek, and I'm the Executive Director of the Association of Certified Sanctions Specialists. Please visit our website, become a member. We are at sanctionsassociation.org. So that's sanctionsassociation.org. And in this broadcast, we provide a daily summary of the latest developments resulting from the ongoing conflict involving Ukraine. And we primarily focus on the US sanctions, EU sanctions, and UK sanctions. So what happened today? There are no new sanctions against Russia from either OFAC or OFSI or the EU authorities. No new financial sector sanctions, no additional banks being placed on the list or being, restricted from correspondent banking. No individual designations related to the Russian program, and no new sectoral sanctions. So I wanted to highlight one development that happened actually 2 days ago, and then put that sort of in perspective with some things that happened earlier. So there was a license, right? On Tuesday, March 29th, the OFSI, the UK authority, issued a general license for the wind down of positions involving Sovcom FLOT, or SCF, under its Russian sanctions regime. Basically, this license authorizes until mid-May, May 15, the wind down, right, of any transactions that companies or people are doing with this large Russian shipping company or a subsidiary of this shipping company. So Sovcom FLOT was sanctioned previously by the UK. It's a state-run big transporter of, very big company of Russian oil and other, related products. So their assets were frozen last week. I think it was on Friday by the UK. And of course, the UK has already issued other sanctions against vessels in general, right? Because they are forbidden to enter the British ports. There is a blanket ban for Russian ships. And the EU has also listed this Russian shipping company together with a bunch of other large Russian state-owned companies in a very, far-reaching sanction that basically prohibits to directly or indirectly engage in any transaction related to these companies, including SCF, also with a wind-down period until mid-May. Canada also added this company to its list of designated entities, I think previously already in February. And the US has not placed Sovcom FLOT on its SDN list, but it has placed it on another list and basically restricted it from raising capital in financial markets. So not an asset freeze, but you're banned from dealing in any Sovcom FLOT debt of longer than a certain number of days, or from buying its shares. So heavy sanctions on this shipping company, right? So, and this has an impact because, what will a company like this do with, all the vessels it has that are probably, at sea, operating throughout the world. And of course, I wouldn't be surprised if it will start using all the tricks of the trade to evade sanctions, right? And, you can think of some of its vessels may start using, certain countries in the Caribbean for ship-to-ship transfers. And if you work in the compliance sector, either at a, maritime shipping company, or you're working in some sort of brokerage house, or at a financial institution, the regulators expect you to watch out for these red flags of deceptive shipping practices. So ships may be able to discharge cargo, perhaps via a so-called ship-to-ship transfer. That is where for instance, products like oil or petroleum are being transferred between seagoing ships that are they put together next to each other at sea, and then they transfer the load over to another ship. Another deceptive shipping practice that could be used by this SOFCOM flood is, turning off the AIS. Just to a little step back, there's a treaty called the SOLAS. It's the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, and it says that large ships must have this system, this AIS, Automatic Identification System. This is not a system that was invented to help sanctions compliance officers do their jobs. No, this is a system that basically provides other ships and the authorities at sea or the coastal authorities with certain information about the vessel, the name, where it's going, how fast it's going, and other information, and not for sanctions compliance purposes, but for safety purposes. And the ships must have the system turned on at all times. There are a few exceptions, of course, where broadcasting a ship's location could be dangerous, could create a security risk for the crew. For example, off the coast of Somalia, there are pirates there, right? So they can board the ship if they know where it is and hold the crew for ransom. But it is also, and we've seen this in reports, and particularly from the United Nations, from the panel of experts, there are many reports that show that it's not uncommon for ships that are under sanctions to attempt to evade these sanctions by turning off this equipment. Right? For example, to perform a ship-to-ship transfer of crude oil that originated in Russia or in another sanctioned country. So, you can think of a situation where you are a ship somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico and you want to go to, let's say, Venezuela, right? To pick up some oil there. But of course, you cannot do that because of the sanctions. You turn off your AIS when you're close to, Aruba, which is an island right off the coast there. And you can then, go to Venezuela, pick up the oil, and then turn it back on later at sea. But as a compliance officer who sees this, and there are softwares for this, right? There's great companies that can help you track these on and off switching of this equipment. So if you see something like that, you can suspect that the vessel is engaging in some sort of illegal transfer of product from Venezuela in this example. It happens all the time, right? You can also think of so this Russian big shipping company may engage in similar activity right now. So just a heads up that you are expected to watch out for this. There has been guidance on this topic. Back in 2020, the United States Department of Treasury, Department of State, and the Coast Guard, I think it was, they issued an advisory that included several different deceptive shipping practices related to the evasion of sanctions. So this document outlines a number of recommendations and red flags for financial institutions, but also insurance companies and others to manage the risk in relation to sanctions evasion in the shipping industry. It covers things like, dark activity, as they call it, right? Turning off this AIS equipment, ship-to-ship transfers. But it's not that easy, right? So I think the guidance that they provided was not very practical, in fact. And recently, we at ACSS, in conjunction with IIBLP, the Institute of International Banking Law and Practice, and IHS Markit, we interviewed several banks and others to look at the actions that they've taken in response to this advisory to detect deceptive shipping practices. And we came up with a series of practical recommendations to better manage this risk related to shipping companies evading sanctions. And I have placed the link to this report. It's like 100 pages, so it's like a really in-depth report with these interviews with financial institutions on what they are doing and some very practical recommendations for you to, as a compliance officer, to figure out, what are some of the red flags that can go with a large shipping company or any other shipping company that is suddenly placed on the sanctions list. So the message here is that, I think the regulators expect the industry to ramp up their sanctions compliance effort and the depth of their sanctions compliance investigations to ensure that any business with SOFCOM, FLOT, and other sanctioned shipping companies are, being detected and blocked. And you really should place a great effort in detecting sanctions evasion efforts. So anyway, this was it for today. I hope you enjoyed this session, and let's see if there's any questions right now. So let's see, Renato, is there any question? All right, thank you. There's a comment there. Thank you very much, Aviva. Today's sanctions pertain mostly to the following sectors: aerospace, electronics, and marine sectors. Yes, absolutely. In addition to the financial sector as well. So absolutely, there's a bunch of sectors that have been affected. I think these sanctions have never been as broad. Maybe, the North Korea, that, of course, is still heavily sanctioned. And I think we're not done yet. I think there's more sanctions coming down the road as long as the invasion continues. So thank you very much for that comment. And the link, Simon. I think the link I placed it in the LinkedIn broadcast. So if not, if you can go to the sanctionsassociation.org website, it's right on the homepage of the homepage banner. But the link is also placed in LinkedIn on this broadcast page. I placed it just before we started. And let me see if I can place it again. Give me 1 second while I try to go in. I don't think I can place a link now, but I will place it right after this session. I'll place it again. So let's see if there's any other questions. And like I said, more to come. And Manoy also says there's more to come. Watch the space. Absolutely. Sort of like a little breathing room right now, but there's also a bunch of licenses, general licenses for like wind down periods that are about to expire. So that's, of course, another thing that I know many of you are working on right now. All right, so I think we are done for today. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow again. And I wish you a very nice rest of your day. Thank you.